Good morning, everybody. This is Sarah with Harrisburg Project, and today we're going to go over Fund B, private facility claims. As if I didn't already feel like summer was coming to an end, here we are doing private facility claims. So I always feel like after the 4th that it's just time for school to start. So here we go with this today. I'm going to give a few minutes to go over some housekeeping while I let everybody log in. We're about at half right now, so I want to give everyone an opportunity. This is not an extra long training. This is an easier claim than the ones we've had to do so far, so we won't be here that long today. If you have not attended a training with us before, and I do see some newbies in the room, you can ask questions throughout the session in your questions pod. If you cannot see that, look on your screen for an orange arrow. Click on the arrow. It will open up your menu that gives you some options. One of those is the questions pod. You can type your questions in again throughout the session. I will answer them as we go along. If you think I'm avoiding one of your questions, it may just be that we're going to get to that slide here in a bit. So I'm not ignoring, I'm just kind of waiting until it's relevant. In addition, I uploaded the handout for today. So if you didn't have an opportunity to grab that beforehand, it's also going to be in one of your GoToWebinar pods. It's the handouts pod. So you'll see the excuse me, the PDF for the session in there as well. It's just a copy of the presentation if you want to make notes or anything like that. So I am going to wait just a second, see if we can climb just a little bit before we get going. But remember, if you do have those questions, just keep them coming. We do have plenty of time for this claim. We've got over a month, so we should be in good shape right now. We're sending out a lot of emails about a lot of things right now, so just bear with us because tis the season. So, okay, looks like we're kind of at a standstill here, so we'll go ahead and get started. So this morning, we're going to talk about the due dates for private facility. I'll talk about where the reimbursement manual is. You can look at that if you're wondering maybe how the reimbursement is calculated, private facility approval tips, things that we don't want you to miss. Make sure you have your right facility numbers, those kinds of things. Then we'll go over the calendar method of computing days. So calendar method is how you have to do the claim for private facility. There are no other options. I'll show you how to enter the data for a private facility. Again, very, very simple claim to do. All the information you need is going to be in iStar available to you. You're just going to have to match it up to invoices to make sure that you are claiming the right facility. And then I'll show you the reports that are in iStar once you're finished with the process. So for this year, we are going to fall on our regular August 15th due date. This is the statutory due date. As some of you may know, if we have a due date that falls on a weekend, we may adjust that. But this year it does fall on a weekday, so it's going to be August 15th. Remember, it's for regular and summer term both. Don't forget to include your summer days. So some of the claims that we've done this summer are separate. So for orphanage, we have a regular term claim we've already done. Our summer term claim is due later in the year. So this one is together. So we need to ensure that we're getting both terms into the claim. Now, with that, since some of these schools may go into August, we do have a very nice correction period for approvals and claims. So what does that mean? It means that after August 15th, you cannot add any more Fund B approval records. That's going to be for private and residential. So if you find out about residential kids after the fact, you're going to have to give us a call and we're going to have to evaluate whether we can put those in or not for you. But for tuition, there are no additions at all after August 15th. For approval corrections, this means that if you have any adjustments you need to make on the approval record that exists, you can do that through September 15th. So if you have errors or if you see there was a mistake, you have the wrong facility number entered, you're going to be able to correct that through the 15th. You just can't add a new record after that time period. So it has to exist. And then with that, you'll also have from August 16th to September 30th time to enter the claim into iStar. So you may not have your invoices yet. You know, it's a good idea, even though 9 times out of 10, we know what the rate is. We're going to be able to just take the days, multiply it times the rate, and enter the claim. You still want to be checking your invoices. Make sure that you are indeed claiming the proper rate amount. Okay. So if you don't have the right amount or the right rate number, then you're not going to be able to claim the dollar amount that you need to. So many of these facilities have multiple rates. So we're going to have several selections in your drop down on your approval record for the proper rate. So we always want to make sure that we're selecting that proper private facility number on that approval record. So then you can be sure that you're able to claim what you have expended. So the manual is on our website. It's under the manuals and guides right in the middle of our homepage. The Fund B instructions are on pages 4 through 5 approximately. It shows you how the estimated reimbursement is calculated. Remember, even after you spend 2 times the per cap, that's when the reimbursement kicks in, but there is still a proration every year on what you receive after 2 times the per cap. So last year, I think it was maybe like 89%, I can't remember. So you have to spend 2 times the per cap, then reimbursement kicks in at a proration. We typically don't know the proration till right before they pay the claim. So that's going to be probably in December before they know what that proration is going to be. So this one is not 100%, but if you do have questions about the estimated reimbursement that's showing in iStar, you want to go to that manual and run through the calculation. So if you don't spend 2 times the per cap on a child, you may see 0. All right, so for your approval records, to find your Fund B kids, you're going to go to Approvals and Claims, Student Approvals, and for existing Fund B records, you're going to put Fund B in your filter, hit search, and pull up those students. But remember, we don't know about kids who have not been added yet. So you need to make sure that you're adding students as well. So if you've missed anyone throughout the school year that's at a private facility, you have time to add that record. You just won't be able to do it after August 15th. So make sure that you are getting those added. So when you're looking at private facility records, sometimes you may see multiple records for the same child. What you want to focus on is at the end of your private facility code number, does it end in a T or an R? And so what we're talking about today for claims is the tuition claim, not the residential claim. So it is in iStar as well, but it runs on a different cycle. It has a different year, and those are claimed by month. So we're focusing on the tuition records only today. And that's what is going to be due on August 15th with those nice correction periods. So just be sure that you are focusing on tuition. The tuitions will have an EE code of 08. That will be the other difference that you will see between tuition and residential. So when you look at the approval record, it should say claim type tuition, and then down here you should see a rate. Now, right now, I think we only have 3 schools that are showing $1 rate still, but every other school should have a rate entered now. Okay, so when I made these notes, we had rates out still, but that shouldn't be a problem now. This will be the difference between tuition and residential. When you look at residential, you're going to see that under the claim type, and then you're going to see room and board here instead of tuition with that daily rate. So again, the EE code may be a 9 or a 10. That is not what we're focusing on for August 15th. It is important. It's not due until later. And again, these claims are done by the month. So that has been ongoing throughout the school year if you've had kids that started last year in September at a residential facility. So just make sure that you're focusing on the tuition records. So we will be using the calendar method of computing days only for the claim. It defaults to calendar method. You cannot change it. We will be able to tap into private facility calendars that they have submitted. They are all required to submit calendars now electronically, just like the public school districts are. So you don't have to count how many days the child was there. You don't have to get their calendar and figure out their holidays and all of those things. it will just default. The days enrolled and the days in session will autofill. The days enrolled are gathered based on the dates on your approval record. So if you have a student that started at the beginning of the year and left midway, the enrolled days will be appropriate for the time period they were at the school. So it's going to be the traditional calendar method. And again, days enrolled, days in session will autofill. So this claim is very simple, especially if you have been going through the program process for orphanage or creating tuition bills, or if you've done excess cost in past years. So as far as the calendar method goes, obviously you're going to need to select your school here in the drop down because it wants to know what calendar are you going to use. So we've got Cove School, which is our private facility. We want to verify that the FTE is 1.0. Very rarely would you lower that FTE. So be very careful about lowering that. It does go into the reimbursement calculation. It will change your claim amount. So we don't want to do that unless it's absolutely necessary. Then you're going to see that your days enrolled and your days in session autofill. We've clicked that include summer box to make sure that we get our 25 summer days in. So make sure that you're doing that. And then the cost per pupil is going to be the claim amount that you enter. It is going to be the days enrolled times the days in session. I'm sorry, the days enrolled times the per diem rate, so the daily rate. So how many days here? So we would show 201, and then back on this screen, we would be looking at our rate here, which obviously wouldn't be $1, but we would be taking this tuition rate amount and multiplying it by your days enrolled that are on the claim record. And when you get that number, you need to make sure that you do not round. Our instructions, if you look at them, will say that you need to truncate the number, which means just drop the cents off. Do not round up by $1. If you do, you're going to get a error in iStar that says you've exceeded the max tuition rate, and it will prevent the claim from going through. So make sure, again, that you are truncating, not rounding that cost when you calculate it. Remember that if you need summer to include your 25 days, you're going to have to click the box. It's going to default to being unchecked. What you also want to do is make sure that when you're looking at your cost per pupil, that it is matching the rate and the expectation from your invoice. Okay? So just make sure, again, that you're claiming the proper amount and that it matches what you have actually paid out. This is a perfect way to tell if you have put in the incorrect facility number on your approval record. And if you look at some of these, go look at Hope School. You know, you might find 20 different entries for Hope School. These can be at the same address in the same building. It's just that the different services provided will warrant a separate rate. So if they have an individual aid with them, they're going to have a therapeutic rate. It's going to be more than the regular rate. So you want to just double check that you are claiming that proper amount, because after we get through that correction period on approvals, you're not going to be able to change that facility number. So after September 15th, you're going to be stuck with whatever you've got. Okay. And that can go either way. You could have a, an incorrect rate that's going to let you claim more than you should. I wouldn't recommend that, but the worst case would be that you have a rate that is less than you needed to claim. Okay, so this is what it looks like for the estimated reimbursement. You're going to take your per cap and multiply it by the student's ADE. So the ADE represents how many days, what time, how much time were they there, okay? If they're there all year, every day, it's going to be a 1.0. You take that and multiply the result by 2, and then you're going to subtract it from the ed cost. So you're going to take your cost and you're going to subtract that, that number you came up with, and it's going to then give you your total reimbursement. So it's a fairly simple calculation. Again, you need your per cap, you need the ADE, and you need the ed cost, so the pupil cost. What are you going to try to claim? And that's going to tell you whether or not you're going to get any reimbursement. So here you can see where we're taking the 2 times per cap. So again, you have to spend that much before it's going to kick in. If you want to look at your private facility calendars, those are available as well. You can go to the private facility search. It's on our website under resources and ISB links. You can just search for the facility any way you want to. It has I don't know, 20 or more different ways to filter, but if you have the facility number, that's going to be the easiest. And so you can search for it. When you open up the page, you're going to see this link in blue that says electronic calendar. You can open that up and look at the calendar. So if you have any question about where these days enrolled and days in session came from, that's where you're going to find it. So they do have to submit those every year, just again, like public districts. So just a couple reminders, make sure you have the correct term. If we need summer, we want to be able to select summer, okay? Triple check your private facility numbers against your bills, check your per diem against the bills, and make sure that you have your contracts on file. We've had a lot of issues last summer with some districts who didn't get to make their claims. They didn't have contracts with some facilities, and they weren't able to get that claim through. So make sure that you have those contracts as well. So just double, triple check all of those numbers. Again, if they aren't correct and it gets past that September 15th, there's nothing we can do to help you. You're going to have to just claim what you can, and it won't be correct. So again, ensure that you are getting those correct numbers. Look at your invoices, look at your rates. If you can't find the facility number, just look at the rate you're paying and try to match it up. If you have questions, we can kind of help you try to dig. But you know, just make sure that you're claiming the right amount. Some of you may only have a handful of private facility kids. Some of you have a lot of them. And we always want to make sure, of course, that we're doing them properly and that those numbers are correct. So if you have any questions, I can take those now. If not, you can give us a call, you can email us. We have a lot going on right now. And I'm sure you are all aware of that. You're probably receiving all different kinds of emails from us, but as I said earlier, tis the season. Claims is a busy time of year for us. Summer's a busy time. We have a lot due over the summer. So we get a long break once school starts. We won't bother you much at all. But summer is just crazy around here. So we've got orphanage that's going to be due here at the end of the month for all your corrections. We've got indicators 11 and 13 that are due on Monday. Just a lot going on. So bear with us. Don't get frustrated with us. And if you do have questions about anything we're sending out, remember, reply to those emails, give us a call. We're happy to help. So I'll wait a few minutes to see if I have any questions. Otherwise, if you need to get going, I will see you guys at the next session. It's going to be for mass change and start new year, I believe. So it's going to be new school year before we know it. All right, what is the difference between Fund B and Fund X? So Fund B are students that are at approved private facilities, so therapeutic day schools. Fund X kids are just kids that are public kids, so they are not at private. They're public kids, and you expect that they're going to be very expensive to educate, and when you look at your per cap, you think that they're going to cost more than 4 times the per cap to educate. We are not doing a call campaign on Fund X this year. We didn't do it last year. It is due on July 15th, but there is not going to be any funding for it. So if you have kids that are at private facilities, they need to be Fund B. We've had that question often. You're going to get more reimbursement through Fund B than X. Plus, they're not appropriate to be Fund X. Okay, I'll take any more questions you have. And of course, we record all of these sessions. So I believe this is the first run on private facility. I didn't know it was, but I couldn't find where I've already done this one this year. So we will have recording up here probably sometime this week. So if you need to come back and revisit, you can. Of course, you can always ask us questions as well. But okay, if you do, to my knowledge, there are 3 private facilities that have a $1 tuition rate. They're supposed to be on the agenda for the Purchase Care Review Board today. So the meeting is today. So just sit tight, and probably Thursday is when we should check and see, because it's gonna, once they get approved, then ISB has to, of course, that's their go ahead. Then they have to get the data entered into their system and get it transferred over. So sometimes it takes a couple overnights to be reflected in iStar. So we're paying close attention to those 3 facilities. I can't remember what they all are. I know Heart Spring is one of them. But to my knowledge, there are only 3 left. Okay. Okay. Yeah. If so, she says, Onarga, if that's not, I'll ask the girls when we get done. And if that's not one of them, then I'll reach out to you. But really, I mean, if they don't get on, if they're not on the agenda and don't get passed today, there's not much we can do. This has been happening the last several years. Some of these private facilities, it's just, it's been a lot. This is very late to get approval. Okay, I'm gonna wait a few more minutes just to see if there are any more questions. I still got quite a few hanging around, so I know y'all like the questions. Okay, so Onarga's supposed to be on for today. Well, if they said that, then that's probably the case. So they'll, like I said, they'll get the data entered probably tomorrow. I'd say then overnight, hopefully Thursday, we'll see those. But the people who do that at ISB know that we're relying on it. So hopefully they'll get it done quickly. Okay. Is this the method we use to generate a bill for a district sending a student to our district? No, we would do the program method for that. So you would follow what we do for orphanage. So to do that, you you put the student in iStar. Hopefully they're already in there. Well, it may not matter depending on their fund code. So you put them into iStar with an approval record and you uncheck the include an approval. And then you attach them to the program that they're in, just like you would any other student that you're doing like a Fundy program cost on. And then on their claim record, there's a checkbox that says print tuition bill. You want to check mark that on the claim. So then when you're done with the program and you go to the individual reports, it'll say print 5066C and print tuition bill. If you click print tuition bill, it'll print out a 5066C for that child and it'll say tuition bill at the top. That's really the only difference between the 2 reports, is that one will say it's an actual tuition bill. Oh, yes. Okay, you did tell me you were going to have one for next school year. Okay, you got plenty of time, plenty of time. But yeah, it's exactly like doing an orphanage claim. And the child may even be in a program you're already going to have. If they have share a teacher that has an orphan, it may be no big deal. It may not even be a special separate task that you have to perform. You'll unclick include an approval, because since the student's from a different resident district, that district will be reporting them. And I think if you uncheck include an approval, it will automatically uncheck include and claim. I mean, I could be wrong, but I thought that was how the logic was set up. Regardless, we don't want either one to go through. Okay. All right. Okay, a warning for a student that has a private arrangement to pay for room and board at one of our out-of-state facilities. So I only have a tuition record reported. Is this warning something I should worry about? Out-of-state tuition record requires residential record. Since you're not paying, you don't need to make the claim. And since it's just a warning, you're okay. Okay, should I enter end dates for Fund E students in iStar? Some of these students are also attending summer school. Do I need to create a separate summer approval record? Okay, if they're gonna go to summer, then you will have to create a separate summer record since it is a separate claim. So you can add those from now through November 1st. That's the deadline for summer. If they are students that attended the regular term and you expect them to be in your district next year, then you don't want to put end dates on them at all. Okay. If they are just a regular term student, and again, you expect them to come back, don't put an end date on their record. If they attend summer school, then yes, you need a regular record and you need a summer record. If you do not put an end date on the summer record, they will also roll into the new year and their term will automatically change to R for regular terms. So you don't have to go back and change them from an S to an R in the new year. Okay, so if you need a summer record, then you will have to put an end date on the regular term. If you have trouble doing that, let us know. But yes, so a lot of times what you would just do, you just can do an end add. But I don't, let us know if you're having trouble with any of that process, but it should let you do that. Oh, okay. Thank you. I wasn't sure. So it's not letting you enter the end date. So we will enter those here with a written request. So if you email us and ask us, if you have a bunch of them, please just send us all of the SysIDs at once and ask us to put the end date in for you and let us know what the end date should be. So I wasn't sure. I cannot remember every year whether you can do that on your own or not after orphanage closes. So for orphanage records, it will not let you have a term of both. So only regular and summer because they're separate claims. So a couple summers ago, they eliminated the ability on funds E and F to have the term of both. You're okay. You're okay. It's a lot. And we only do this once a year, right? See, I can't even remember. But yes, if you need end dates on orphanage records, then it looks like we will do it for you. So please, like I said, though, if you have a bunch of them, try to send them to us all at once. We do better if we're a little more organized. We're more helpful. Okay, any other questions? You guys are having good questions. Okay, I don't see anything else. So as promised, here we are at 29 minutes, not a very long session, and we will get the recording up as soon as we can. Thank you guys for being so attentive. Thank you for the questions, and I will see you at the next session. Bye-bye.